Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mortuary. I am the Mortician, and today I want to talk about Deathcore. Deathcore. What a shitty genre. Honestly. I'm gonna save you the trouble. Disliking this video and using insults in the comments isn't gonna change my opinion, because I've already been around the racetrack of like metal and pretty much music more than a few times. Like, I know what I like and what I dislike. You might feel differently. That's fine. However, this is my opinion. There's going to be a lot of generalizations. However, I feel the generalizations are justified through listening to the music. So, if that makes sense. So, to start off, Deathcore has like no variation. I know a lot of people would probably rebut with like, oh, but death metal, oh, but black metal, blah 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 blah. Let's take the most mainstream examples, because I feel like that's something that someone would do if they were to use this argument. Because no one's gonna bring up the nobody band that is just a Suffocation clone. Nobody's gonna do that. So the difference between Cannibal Corpse, Immolation, Bolt Thrower, and Incantation, and even we'll throw up for Death Metal there, Morbid Angel. The difference between these five bands is incredible. Like, they do not even share the same soundscape at all. Like, even occupying this one genre, there is so much more. Like, it's so unique. Like, the closest you could get between those 4 or 5 bands is like Incantation and Immolation, but even then, like, even though they kind of play a similar style of death metal, they definitely have their own way of playing that style. In black metal, you have the same thing. If I were to throw, I don't know, like a first wave band, like if I were to throw Bulldozer, Bathory, Emperor, Gehenna, and Darkthrone, right? And maybe Burzum in there, right? Those are all pretty big bands. Everyone pretty much knows them. I think Gehenna might be the example, but maybe someone doesn't know. But they all sound insanely different from one another. You know what I mean? Like, they do not exist. They don't even exist in the same space most of the time. So with Deathcore, it should be really easy to do the same thing with even just the mainstream bands, right? No. Deathcore does not really have that. They all share just not even just a similar sound, like almost the exact same identity, copy and pasted several times. Like, there was between Whitechapel, Chelsea Grin, and like Immure and shit like that is like, there is no difference. The big problem with Deathcore, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, I probably haven't, but the big problem with Deathcore is that it really does not allow for a lot of creativity. Now, I say the same thing about thrash metal. Thrash metal does not allow for a lot of room for creativity. Thrash metal has a problem of, if you try to step into other genres, for example like death thrash or black thrash, it sounds more like black metal or more like death metal than it does thrash, and the thrash portion almost loses all of its identity, and you're just stuck with kind of metallic-y sounding death metal or black metal. Deathcore doesn't even have that. Like, Deathcore pretty much hinges on a single idea that kind of anchors it as a genre. That's the breakdown. The breakdown is necessary for Deathcore. Otherwise, it's just essentially like a really crappy, overproduced, sad death metal or something. Like, not even death metal. I don't even know what that genre would be. It'd just be sad and shitty. But Deathcore has no room for creativity. There might be some bands you could bring up where they're like, oh, well, they use, like, I don't know, like a saxophone or something. But even that, like, I'm not talking about in that same realm. If that is true, then that's cool. But I mean more of the sense that you can experiment and infuse it with other genres. You know? Like, for example, if you were to make black deathcore, I don't even have to listen to that to know it sucks. If you were to make death metal deathcore, it's not even a genre. Like, infuse grindcore in there. It's not even a genre. It just all pretty much because of the way that deathcore is supposed to sound, it pigeonholes itself, and it really, really fucking sucks. Like I said, it's the same thing with thrash. Thrash has basically had the same riff flying around since like 1986. Like there's almost no variation in thrash, like at all. Like you get some bands like Dream Death is a good example, where they bring in doom elements, but once again it kind of gets lost and sounds like Celtic Frost. So when it comes to deathcore, it's even worse than thrash in that regard. It's just such a shame, and it feels like that a lot of people who like it, I don't think really realize it, or maybe they do. Maybe they realize what it is, and that it's pretty much just a very, I don't know, predictable genre, and they like that about it. It's whatever. And I'm not saying that deathcore can't be heavy, because I don't know who would say that. I don't like the genre, but I wouldn't say it can't be heavy. There are good examples, and even the breakdowns are good examples of it being heavy, even though I don't typically like that sound. I can see why someone would interpret that as heavy and go nuts during it. But it just doesn't do it for me. So yeah, I mean, it's just a fucking boring genre. And that's basically all I have to say. Yeah, it was kind of a pointless video, but I wanted to make it. I never really make pointless videos per se. I feel like a lot of the time I'm making stuff where I have to anchor down my thoughts and stuff, and it's just nice to just say shit, just blow shit out of my ass. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Don't care. Thank you guys for watching. Mortician. Peace out.